Hi everyone, my name is Davood Gozli. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In my most recent video, I talked about Colleen Hoover's book, It Ends With Us, saying that although I didn't enjoy her writing, there were interesting qualities and insights in that book, and I talked about those in the previous video. The link should be available up here. In this part, I talk about It Starts With Us, which is the sequel to the first book. And after doing that, at the end of the video, I want to respond to a viewer request, namely Mayor Luna, who asked for a short list of my literary fiction picks. So thank you for that request. I'll provide a short list at the end. Okay, It Starts With Us. I want to admit that I was surprised that this book was a lot better than the first book. It was a lot better than It Ends With Us. I still didn't really enjoy, I didn't gain pleasure from reading the book, but it was at least not as painful. But if you did enjoy the first book, It Ends With Us, I think you will enjoy the sequel a lot more. It could be because, from my part, my experience, it could be because, the way I try to make sense of the difference between those two books. I think it could be because Hoover worked with a great editor for the second book. It could be because of her additional experience, having 6 more years of experience as a writer at the point she's writing the sequel, or it could be just because I had lower expectations when I was reading the sequel. But for whatever reason, the second book, for me, I found it to be much more bearable compared to the first one. So I'm interested to hear what you thought. Did you compare? Do you have a comparison between these two? Did you also find the second book better, of higher quality of writing compared to the first book? And what are your reasons, if that is also the case for you? Now, what caught my attention? Some of the positive things that caught my attention about this second book, It Starts With Us. A few things. First, of course, the obvious observation is about the perspectives. From chapter to chapter, we switch between perspectives. There are 2 main characters, and even chapters are written through the perspective of one of the 2 main characters. Odd chapters are from the other character's perspective. So these 2 are not sufficiently differentiated from each other to make them really impressive, because they both sound like Colleen Hoover, both characters, in my judgment. But there is an attempt to try to bring out those 2 different perspectives and to play with the idea of perspective, and that was in itself interesting. And it's also relevant to one of the themes of the book, one of the major themes of the book, and that is also an underlying argument about love, about what love is, what genuine love is. And according to this underlying argument that Hoover doesn't directly put in front of us, but this argument is operating beneath the narrative. And that is this, that love is about understanding the other person's perspective, trying to understand and affirm how this other person that we love views the world, and how that view of the world is different, how this other person is inhabiting a world that is different from yours. By contrast, non-loving relationships, we could describe those as relationships where one side is dismissive of the other side, or disinterested in understanding the other person's perspective, how the other person is experiencing the world. You might have met people in your own life, in your own biographical history, in your own history. You might have met people who claim that they love you, they claim to have a lot of feelings for you, but they're dismissive. If you carefully observe them and you carefully listen to them, they're really disinterested in your experience, in how you value things, how you prioritize life, life events, decisions. So that is, according to this argument, is like we can challenge that and say that's not genuine love. And so I said non-loving relationship. So there's lack of interest, there's dismissiveness in understanding, acknowledging the other person's side of the story. And even if there's an interest, or even if there is a curiosity, that curiosity or interest is instrumental. It is in the service of getting something from the other person. This is like we all go through this in our teenage years when we have our first crush, for example. It's like we are not yet mature enough to be able to really acknowledge the different world of the other person, and we want, there are certain things that we want to be close to them, we want to get to know them, we want to kind of have an experience of intimacy with them, or maybe we want them to acknowledge us or validate us. So those are instrumental ways of like relating to the other person. One other thing I really enjoyed and thought was well done by Colleen Hoover was how she described one of the male characters continuously dismissing the thoughts and decisions of our main character, Lily. He never said, this is how I view the world, that's how you view the world, and we're different, we want different things. He never said that. If he had said that, that would have been very mature, and he would have allowed their relationship or platonic relationship or friendship or cooperation to progress through time. But instead of saying that, instead he acted as if what he wants is the real thing, it's the real destiny for them, and what she wants, or what she sometimes expresses to him, is some kind of silly mood-related desire that will go away eventually, and she will grow out of that, and she will realize that what he is saying is for the best, and it's good for both of them. So that's the kind of, it sounds paternalistic. It sounds like I know more than you do. I understand our situation more than you do, and what you are saying is something silly, some silly ideas, and you will eventually grow out of them. It's really, it is not respectful. That's not a way of treating someone as your equal, as a partner. Another interesting observation in the book has to do with Colleen Hoover's descriptions of violence and abusive people. And she describes how an abusive person, somebody who has an abusive pattern, shows abusive and violent pattern, aggressive with the people that they're close with, how when they start to attack someone, it's not that they have a reason first and then they get triggered. They are ready to get violent. They are ready to attack, pick a fight, and it's as if they are searching for a reason. They're searching for an excuse. And then once they have that excuse and they start being violent, expressing aggression, then they reason their aggression backwards, retroactively. They say, oh, you triggered me. You made me feel this way. But of course, that's not accurate. It is that reason that they're claiming is something that they're using that in order to do something that they already want to do. They already are predisposed. They already have that attitude, the emotional stance, affective stance. They're already ready to be the aggressor. And you give them, you might feel like you're triggering them, but that actually you're not as responsible as you think. So it's our main character, again, Lily keeps reflecting with herself, like, to what degree am I responsible for this guy's aggressive behavior? Did I trigger him? Did I make him this way? Should I feel responsible? Should I apologize? And of course, the truth of the matter is, as we explore with um, throughout the narrative, the truth of the matter is that she's not as responsible as this aggressive person is trying to make her feel, because the aggressive person is really just looking for a trigger, and sooner or later he's going to find it. My least favorite part of the book, It Starts With Us, similar to my least favorite part of It Ends With Us, both of the books, I really did not like all the sexual stuff, the pornographic material. I won't call it erotic, because it's really, it's it's the material of fantasy. Everything is too perfect. Everything is too performance based. Like what Colleen Hoover is giving us and thinks that these are going to be satisfying to the readers are a performative and success oriented view towards sex. It's like, if you think about everything in your life in terms of succeeding or failing, you might eventually apply that even to sex and intimacy. Like, yeah, that was really great. I succeeded, or we succeeded at this. We did it really well. We performed. It's like a sports. So I didn't enjoy that, not only because it's not realistic, but because it just doesn't have enough texture. It doesn't portray human intimacy accurately, precisely. Human intimacy, eroticism is much more interesting than these descriptions of, oh, we did this and then we did that and then my heartbeat like doubled and tripled. And especially the female character is just too ready to just lose control. And yeah, there's something odd about that. I don't want to explore that in this video. Maybe later, if there is interest, we will get into it at some point. Okay. Now, quick list of books that have impacted me, and I think you might enjoy if you haven't read them. These are sure things, sure picks. So I've picked 5 off the top of my head. These are books that I love. These are books that I can read again and again. And they have lots of different sides to them. So much to offer to different readers. Number 1, by Tolstoy, The Death of Ivan Ilyich. Short novella. You can read it quickly. It's immensely insightful about human psychology and loneliness, what it feels like to suddenly feel out of sync with the rest of the social world. Number 2, Notes from Underground, also from Russia, Fyodor Dostoevsky. Also very short, very readable, very interesting, at times funny, awkward, uncomfortable. Again, great description of inner conflict, loneliness, and searching for a place in this world. Number 3, Milan Kundera's collection of short stories titled Laughable Loves. Amazing, amazing. Compare Milan Kundera. You cannot compare Colleen Hoover's treatment of eroticism with Kundera. Just incomparable. As well as other themes related to human life, human existence. Number 4, we are still looking at short stories. This one is a collection of short stories with commentary titled A Swim in a Pond in the Rain. I already have a review of this on the channel. Really wonderful, wonderful book. You will not regret reading it. Commentaries are great, short stories are great. You can read them again and again. And number 5, The Trial by Franz Kafka. Kafka really introduces a way of looking at human life that it really opens up our mind to noticing things in a new way and gives us, becomes almost like a toolbox of metaphors and for thinking through situations. Kafka is, if you're a reader, if you're interested in literature, Kafka is indispensable. And it is the Trial, other works by Kafka. He is an author that enriches our reading of other authors. I mentioned Kundera. You will enjoy Kundera more when you read Kafka, before or after. Now, one additional bonus that I want to include here, number 5+1, Summer by Edith Wharton. I include this book because it also treats the theme of eroticism, and it is written by an incredibly important female writer from the US, from American writer. If you are an American reader, you should get to know Edith Wharton a little bit more. Worth reading, a little bit too literary compared to, I mean, it's a little bit that doesn't fit our present discussion almost, but something that she really points out effectively, that you would not really get that in authors like Colleen Hoover, is that experience of falling in love, which opens up the person's eyes into the world in general. When you fall in love, you become generally curious, new kinds of sensitivities. Suddenly, coffee tastes different. The music you listen to is different. More nuanced, overused word, but it's a richer treatment of eroticism and the kind of erotic development. All right, let me know what you think. Any book that you would want to include in that short list, let me know. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe, and check out my Patreon page where you can find access to my exclusive content, as well as a way of joining my bi-weekly book club. All right, thanks, and I will speak with you in future videos.